That snack you cannot stop eating was not an accident. You reached for one bite, but the bag was built for the second one. The trap is not the flavor. The trap is the design behind it. Someone studied the exact point where your brain stops saying no. In nature, sugar and fat used to be rare. Together, they sent the same powerful signal as the first food you ever wanted. Your brain read that signal as survival, so it never built a strong off switch. For most of human history, that made sense. Then the supermarket turned scarcity into an aisle. A scientist with a clipboard turned craving into a measurable thing. The food industry called the target the Bliss Point. Too little sweetness and you want more. Too much sweetness and you pull away. But right at the peak, you keep coming back. Howard Moskowitz helped prove how powerful that peak could be. He stopped asking people what they wanted, because people are terrible at explaining their own cravings. The data kept telling a different story. A giant soup company brought him in to fix a failing sauce. The product was not connecting with customers. At the time, companies searched for one perfect recipe. So he made 45 versions of the same sauce. Then thousands of people tasted them. The results split into clusters. One group wanted plain. Another group wanted spicy. And a huge group wanted extra chunky. That changed everything. The shelf could hold a product for every kind of craving. That is why one aisle can feel like 40 versions of the same choice. And why standing there can feel weirdly exhausting. The food you love was designed on purpose. With data, budget, and a clipboard. That insight made companies a fortune. But the Bliss Point was only the beginning. The next trick was making sure you never put the bag down. A cheese puff is a perfect example. It disappears almost the instant it touches your mouth. The brain barely has time to count it, so it decides nothing really happened. The evidence erases itself on the way down. Then your stomach falls behind. It can take about 20 minutes to tell your brain you ate. Real food used to move slowly enough for that delay. Junk food was built to beat the clock. Inside that window, 1,000 calories can land before the stop signal. That is why fullness can feel unreliable. Then scientists looked inside the brain. They studied 150 healthy teenagers. First, they asked how often each teen ate ice cream. Then each one went into a brain scanner. A tube delivered a milkshake into their mouth. The reward center lit up. But the teens who ate ice cream most often reacted the least. The same milkshake barely registered. Scientists had a word for that: tolerance. The first hit is the strongest. After that, the brain turns the volume down. So you need more just to get back to where you started. You chase the feeling while the feeling keeps shrinking. And this system was not built by chefs. In the 1980s, tobacco companies moved into food. The addiction playbook found a new aisle. Major brands became part of the same machine. The same labs and strategies moved from smoke to snacks. Then one executive tried to warn the room. He laid out the obesity data in front of them. For a moment, the room seemed to understand. Then another executive said they were only giving people what they wanted. Nobody was forcing anyone, he argued. The room went quiet, and the warning was buried. For years, the damage was hard to prove. You cannot track every bite of a human life. So Kevin Hall designed a cleaner test. 20 adults lived inside a lab for a month. Every bite was weighed and recorded. For 2 weeks, they ate real whole food. Then everything switched to ultra-processed food. Nobody told them to overeat. They could eat as much or as little as they wanted. The processed food made them eat more anyway. About 500 extra calories every day. They were not hungrier. It just happened. On processed food, they gained weight. On whole food, the same people lost it. Same people, same month, different food. Your craving was never the flaw. It was a survival system running in the wrong world. Every defense you had was studied. Then those defenses were beaten and sold back to you. You blamed yourself for a fight that was never fair. A rigged game works only while you cannot see it. Now you can see it. And this time you are deciding awake.